it's MK, and I am doing Messy Monday today. This whole month we are concentrating on ink sprays. I'm also playing along with May I Scraplift You, and I'm going to be lifting this layout here by Tisa Brown, and I'm going to be working on my Scrappin' on a Ship 2025 photos for this whole month. So I've got this little reminder here that it's Messy Monday, so I pulled out this ink spray. It's actually a Distress Oxide spray in mustard seed. I don't know why I picked this color, but you'll see later. I'm also going to use a texture paste in opaque matte through this dirty stencil by All in Create. I don't remember the name of the stencil. It's right there. Broken Circle is what it is called. So I'm going to be running that paste through the stencil. And then I've got two stamps, one by Arden. This one is the Artful Ledgers 01, which is now back in stock. And then I have this one here that is the stamped something by All in Create. I'm sorry, I missed it. I also have these rub-ons. I don't end up using all of them, but I did pull them all out. Now, these are all leftovers from my cruise kit. I'm still trying to work with the leftovers. I did add in a couple pieces of paper last, I believe 2 days ago, but for this one, it is all leftovers. There isn't anything that I brought in addition to, except for this little grease sign that was made, and there it is by Cheryl Swafford. So I'm super excited about adding that to my layout. And then I've got a couple fussy cut pieces that were from the the title piece of the 12 by 12 pack. And then, of course, some pieces from the die cut pack. I brought in a film strip. And then I did bring in this full set of thickers. This one is an add-on, but I don't believe I end up using any of it. I thought I was going to do This Was Fun as my title, but I don't end up doing that because I have the word grease. So, but I brought it in just in case. This is one of the 6x6 papers that was from the 6x6 pack that we had. I also have lots of little scraps and dilios. I don't know why this one is crooked, but it doesn't matter in this for this layout. And then I have my leftover wood panel piece right there. It is from the Halloween collection by Echo Park. I think it was called Spooky. And then I've got 4 photos that I would like to add. It was us just sitting down, picking our seats, and getting ready for Grease to start. And I'm going to start with a blank piece of cardstock. So when it comes to using plain ink pads in my stencils, you guys, I don't clean my stencils. I'm very bad at it. But what I love about it the most is it's usually full. I say usually because these are not my colors, but it's usually full of colors that I always work with. So they always work together. They always end up, going along with whatever I've got going on. However, this one is orange and pink. It definitely would have looked amazing with the grease photos had I left it orange and pink, but for some reason, my brain added yellow, and I have no clue why, you guys. I just really don't. So I went and I borrowed a spray box. Thank you, Lynn. And now I'm going to spray the entire piece now that my texture paste is dry. I'm going to spray my entire piece with this yellow mustard seed, and then I'm going to take the mustard seed spray bottle to get those big drops, and I barely push down on it, and what it does is give me those big drops. And then I brought in a purple. What was I thinking? I don't know, but I brought in a purple. I believe it was an Altenew. I don't even know. Lilac something, I believe. I apologize. I did not share it with you guys. It was just something that I guess I felt like I needed. I don't know. It does turn out really cool, but really I should have stuck with the orange and the pink. Like, I don't know what was in my brain, in all honesty. So I'm going to go ahead and just keep moving on because I don't realize that I don't know what I'm doing until the layout's completely done, or at least I think it's done. So just hang in there. It does end up looking good, but like I said, the colors aren't even in my photos. I don't know what I was thinking. So here I am. I'm just tearing off all of these strips to match Tissa's layout. So she has torn strips, probably, let me count real quick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. She has 8 strips, and it looks to me like she repeated 4 and then 4, but then mismatched the order, so they weren't perfectly in order. And for me, I only have a few pieces of paper. Like I have this wood grain that I wanted to incorporate in 4 different sections. So instead of having small little sections and having 8 rows of torn papers, I'm only going to have 4 rows of torn papers, I believe. I think it stops at 4. But then when I add my colors in, they're going to be layered. So instead of having the colorful pieces in between these wood grain pieces, I'm actually going to layer them either on top of or underneath and things like that. So I'm going to layer mine up because halfway through this, I decided that I'm going to stitch on my layout because I think that's what Tissa did. I think she took her sewing machine and stitched across every single one of her ripped pieces, ripped papers. So that's what I'm doing. At first, I definitely start layering it up just like she has it. I've got all of my wood grain, and then I'm going to put in between the wood grain these pieces of pattern prints to add a little bit of color. I'm trying not to add too much color because of the fact that I've got such a busy background going on. So I definitely know that I don't want a whole lot of color added to this layout. And then I'm going to go ahead and tear off one more strip because, again, I was counting how many she had. And I'm trying to keep up with that and figure out, okay, where do I want this? And that's where I decide that I've got that. And I put the little half piece up at the top up there because I knew my photos were going to cover it up and I didn't need anything else. All right, so another thing that Tissa did on her layout was she stamped. So I pulled out, well, I forgot my black stamp. So this is Janet's. I borrowed Janet's at this retreat, and I believe this is an archival black ink. I think that's all it's called, is archival black. I don't really know. I'm not very familiar with archival, but it's nice and juicy and it does what I need it to do. So I am going to go ahead and just stamp. I chose the R because it's right L high, right, for grease. And so I thought that would be perfect. And then I am just trying to remember where all of my pieces are because I did not want to go through all of that tracing out of all these pieces because they were going to move, and if I would have glued them down, it would have made a mess. I mean, just all this stuff. I do have a faux stitched stamp, so I wanted to incorporate that a little bit just to, know that I'm going to be stitching. And then here's where I first try to, do it just like Tissa did it. I want 4 layers or 8 layers of this pattern paper. Every other one of them is going to be this wood grain, and then I run out. Like I don't have enough space. Either my layers are too thick or something, but then I decided to start layering them up. And I really like this. I really like having them incorporated and just doing the 4 pieces. This just makes me very happy having them all touch each other and be grouped with each other, just because of the fact that the more I looked at Tissa's, the more she did a ton of stamping. She has a lot more stamping in her background where I barely stamped anything because I wasn't sure where everything was, and I didn't want to fill my whole piece of paper up with stamped images. So I just wanted the stamps to be incorporated with each little layer. And so I think once I figure out where all my pieces are going to go, it definitely ends up working better this way. So I'm going to go ahead and just distress all my edges because I feel like they needed a little pick-me-up. I wasn't sure how textury this layout was going to be, you guys. To be honest, I actually forgot a ton of stuff on this cruise kit. I was not cruise kit. I was not prepared to go to this retreat at all. I packed up my cruise kit and thought I'm good to go. I was not. I left all my wood veneer that I wanted to use on my extra pieces or extra pages. I left all my wood veneer. I left a lot of dyes that I could have used. I just left a lot behind, and I made the best of it. I ended up doing almost the whole month of May at this retreat. I was super stoked. But to be honest, I felt like the layouts that I wanted to incorporate certain things didn't get certain things. And so now it's, I feel like I have all these pieces that I planned for these particular pictures, and now I have to make them work for something else. So that was my bad. All right, so here are my stitching rulers. I love these things, you guys. I don't use them very often on camera because I am a horrible stitcher. I have to see both sides, and so my paper is constantly flipping and flopping from front to back, and it's just something that I cannot, I cannot watch even myself, so I can't even imagine what it is like for you guys. Okay, so off camera, I went off and punched the holes for at the top of all of my pieces. And I'm picking a different design for each row, if that makes sense. So this one here, this design here is actually going to look like a faux blanket stitch. However, I poke everything way too close to the top. My needle just rips right through it, and it was not very fun for me to try and stitch all of that, because actually what I did was I had to hook it instead, because my needle just ripped through all of it. It was good times, but in the end, I don't think anybody even notices because of the fact that, yeah, I end up gluing the living daylights out of it, trying to keep it together. Okay, so what I do is I lay my piece down across my project, my thread across my project, and then I do 2 times because I've got two rows of thread, and then I do it 2 more times. So I do 4 lengths of what I'm doing because it has to go through that many times. So the first one here is this fish bone piece, and then I'm so sorry, I really quickly went over the top piece up there is the what is that called? The blanket stitch. Then I've got a double cross stitch, and then I have just a plain cross stitch. And I really like all the different stitches. Again, I went with pink, you guys, because that was what was in my photos. But why I did not do an orange background just blows my mind. I don't know why I did not do orange. I should have done orange. It's just weird. Anyways, so I'm going to go ahead and pop up. Again, my layout is feeling very flat. Even though I used texture, even though I distressed my edges, my layout is feeling very flat. And of course, this is the next morning because the sun comes in where I sit in this particular retreat. I love the fact that the sun comes in, but I never take into consideration what it does to my videos. So I do hope it's not too distracting and the shadows coming in, but the sun feels so good and it's so warm and the birds are chirping outside. It is just very pleasant. Okay, so again, I added the foam behind my photos, and now I am just going to try and put this layout together a little bit at a time. At this point, I'm kind of following Tisa's layout by putting something up at the top. I've got my title on one of the strips. It's not quite as far down as hers is, but that is where my title is. And then I'm just going to be tucking and layering pieces. I want to add tickets because we're obviously going to watch a show. This is where I decided I'm not going to do the rub-ons. The grease piece, though, is not working for me. I have not glued it down yet because I'm just not so sure. I am going to add a couple of these hearts just because they look like they're denim for one, and then for two, I think this was our favorite. Next to the Columbus show, I think this one was our favorite. So I'm going to go ahead and add these pieces. And instead of using grease, I decide to take this rub-on that says highlight of the day because of this particular day, it was the highlight. Oh, I do add cameras, you guys. I forgot. I add the rub-on cameras, which I think this is what tanked the whole thing because now I'm adding browns and blacks, and oh my gosh, I don't know what I'm thinking, you guys, but it's okay. I do end up taking away the grease car and I'm just going to be using the highlight of the day rub-on after I finish adding all these rub-ons. I also have these little word rub-ons that just say favorite, and I think one says highlights. I think one says something photo. All these different little pieces that pertain, and you can see them all lined up over on the right side next to, I think that's my rub-on stick, but I end up using my finger. Way to go, me. But yes, that's how that works. Still trying to incorporate the grease card, but again, I decide, nope, it's just not working for me. So I will bring it back and use it on a different layout, because this is not going to be my last grease layout, you guys. I do plan on using, I do a couple grease layouts for this, for May I Scraplift You, but I am going to do, I think, one more double page. I'm not really sure. So here is where I decide, I don't know what I was thinking with the yellow. So I'm going to tear apart the whole layout. Yep. I'm going to start with my photos. Try not to bend it too much to where I end up putting a crease in my photos. So off went the photos. I need to take that little heart off, and then I don't know what else to do. So I'm going to just tear off all my pieces. Now this one was easy because it's almost like perforated because of the stitching. So that was awesome. Off goes that one. Get out of there. I do have to cut a few things because, like I said, I glued that down really, really well. And then here I decided I do want a little bit of this yellow showing. I did all that work on that background paper to share with you guys, you know, my ink spray and whatnot. And I'm removing the entire ink sprayed background. It's just not, I don't know. What am I thinking? I don't know. But I still have my my stamped work a little bit showing. I still have my texture showing, and I still have some of my ink spray showing. So I'm happy with all of this. I love the layers now. Now I have all these really cool layers. I've still got my stitching going on. I am just really happy with all of these pieces. Again, I still wish they were orange, but it's okay. I am good to go. And like I said, I love all the different layers now. I would not have been able to make these layers without starting off doing this page, especially with the stitching in it. Another thing too is that I don't know. I don't know. I do end up liking it, even though I didn't really keep most of my sprayed paperwork, you guys. It's okay. It's just paper. It's just paper and ink. Another thing about the sprays, like I was saying before, is when you, depending on when you push down on your nozzle, you can get you push the whole thing down and you can get the full-blown spray. You push it down a little bit and you'll get the splattering, or you take off the nozzle itself and then you just use the tube to do splattering. So that is what I ended up doing with my spray bottle for today, in case I did not talk about it, because that's what this whole layout is supposed to be, not me complaining that I used yellow. I don't know. I do love how this looks now. I just added it to another blank piece of white cardstock. I'm bringing back my little heart. Again, moving it a little bit this time, not leaving it exactly the way that it was, making sure everything was back where it was. And I don't even put a title on this page, you guys. I ended up ripping through the title and I do not bring it back. That's my layout, and I'm super happy with it, super stoked with it. I love the texture that I can see. I love the sprays. The sprays are also, the oxide is not, but the purple splatter that I put in was glittery. So there's a little bit of sparkle in there, but not a whole lot. I'm just super happy with how it turned out after I had torn it apart. All right, you guys, Tisa, thank you so much for allowing me to lift you today. Thank you so much for joining me for another Messy Monday. Don't forget to check out Janet Fritz's channel, because she's not only scrapping on a ship, her photos there, but she is also playing along with Messy Monday, and I believe she's playing along with May I Scraplift You. So go check that out as well. And all the links that I have down below. I've got a May I Scraplift You playlist. And then, of course, the Messy Monday playlist. That playlist is only my videos, though. So if you missed last month when we introduced Messy Monday, go check out what we did over there. All right, you guys. Again, thank you so much, and I will check y'all later. Bye.